Hey friends, what all should you consider while upgrading your RAM? Because if you're upgrading your RAM, you are going to spend extra money. So before buying the RAM, you need to know how much RAM you need, what kind of RAM you need, do you even need a RAM at the first place? So I'll explain all of this, at least the basic considerations. So there are two statistics regarding RAM on your computer. One is the static one and one is the dynamic one. To check the static one, search for system information in the Windows search bar and open system information. So in the system information column, you'll find the total RAM installed on your system. Like in my case, it is 8 GB. In your case, it could be more or less. So you need to know the level of RAM you already have on your system. After this, press the Windows key and the R button together to open the run window. Type the command mdsched and hit enter and click on restart now and check for problems. I'll tell you why. Because this tool checks the RAM for issues and it fixes it if possible. So if you are facing issues with the RAM, at least try running this tool before buying a new one. After this, you can check the dynamic statistics. Search for Task Manager in the Windows search bar and open the Task Manager window. Now expand this and go to the Performances tab on the list on the left hand side. In the right pane, this section, the second one, Memory, is basically the RAM. So when you click on it, it shows a moving graph, and this moving graph is symbolic of the RAM usage on your system at that point of time. In my case, 75% of the RAM is currently in use. So I still have quite a gap. I mean, I cannot run a heavy game on this computer, but it is sufficient for my use. And 5.6 GB of RAM is in use, 2.1 GB is available. And if this figure goes into 0 point something, then you can consider the new RAM, or if you really need to play games, then you need to consider the new RAM. But even in that case, the RAM needs to be compatible with your motherboard, because every RAM will not be compatible with your motherboard. So you can contact the manufacturer of your computer, call them and ask them whether that model of RAM is compatible with your computer or not. Now, these are the basic considerations. After this, we come to another consideration called bottleneck. So why would we upgrade a RAM? Let's say these days computers have 4 GB or 8 GB of RAM. And do you really need to upgrade it? So here's the thing. If you have 4 GB of RAM, I suggest upgrading to 8 GB if you're using a Windows 11 computer, even for normal work. It will make it way smoother, or at least up to 6 GB. But let's say you need a RAM for gaming. You want to be a gamer, and for that you need 16 GB of RAM or 32 GB of RAM. But here's one question. Do you have a graphics card on your computer? Like I have the Intel UHD graphics card on my system. I do not have an external dedicated RTX graphics card on my computer. So if I do not have an external dedicated graphics card on my computer, then increasing the RAM will not make a difference. I will still not be able to play that game. Are you getting the point? Then in that case, you will need an external graphics card as well, if you are using a desktop. And in case of a laptop, it isn't upgradable usually. And after that, you need to ask yourself that does your computer have an SSD or an HDD? So newer computers usually use an SSD because it's way faster, and I suggest the same. You will witness a noticeable difference for that. Okay, try rebooting your system with an SSD and try rebooting it with an HDD, and you'll know the difference. Now, if you're using an HDD, I suggest you to shift to an SSD first and then consider RAM, because if you are adding RAM but you're still using an HDD, that will still serve as a bottleneck. You know what a bottleneck is, right? When you try pouring water out of a bottle, the speed at which it drops out, the speed at which it spills out depends on the size of the neck of the bottle. So that's what the bottleneck is. If other parameters are low, then increasing the RAM won't make a difference. So once all of this is sorted out, then you can consider buying a new RAM. And you can always comment on this video so that we could suggest you better. Thank you for watching this video and have a nice day.